5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in.
You're tuned into the God Stories Radio Podcast. www.godstoriesradio.com.
Welcome to God Stories Radio. This is session 26. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Trish.
Man, oh man, I'm so glad to be back. First podcast of the year.
First podcast of the year. It's been, I think, 5 weeks.
Wow.
5 weeks. And we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, we are.
I have my daughter Aubrey here.
Hi.
And we just got back from the University of Miami, where she received the best Christmas gift of all.
Amen.
Amen to that.
And first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of our faithful listeners, the people at church, everybody that prayed for us, helped us financially. Trish and Tamara for throwing a whale of a come-home party for us.
Yeah. I'm
just going to let Aubrey, what'd you get for Christmas, Aubrey?
I received a liver kidney transplant, which I have been waiting for 9 years.
Wow.
And I am ecstatic about it.
How long was she on the list for that?
For this one, I was on 9 years, and I had received a kidney transplant back in 2004, and the disease I had attacked that kidney. Come to find out later on in life, when they had done some research and kind of studied me a little bit, they found out that the disease, or really the H factor mutation that I had, was housed in the liver. So the liver was putting out that mutation, which was killing my kidneys and causing me to be really sick a lot.
So just so I can get it clear in my head, Aubrey was born, she had 2 kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
Her body had a disease, and her kidneys were attacked by something triggered in her liver from the disease.
Yes.
And then she had to have a kidney transplant when she was about 4?
When I was 8.
When she was 8. And then her body attacked that kidney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was actually diagnosed at 9 months of age, right. And there was literally no research. Very few people had even heard of atypical HUS.
Isn't there only like 2 people in the world?
There was
in the States.
Yeah,
with hemolytic uremic syndrome. Mine is atypical. So I'm kind of the only one in the U.S. and so far that we know in the world with this odd version of hemolytic uremic syndrome, and with the H factor mutation, which is found in a lot of people, just not the way I had it, apparently.
Wow. So her body triggered something that killed the new kidney. So she was then put on a wait list for what they figured would cure it, would be a liver kidney transplant.
The best way to look at it is, this is the way we look at it. The hemolytic uremic syndrome is kind of a blood disorder, which can be controlled by medications and everything. However, the H factor mutation that I had was...
I like the sound of that.
It's your immune system. And so how most people, if you get a cut or you get a flu, your mutation goes straight after that. Once or not your mutation, your immune system goes straight after that. Once it attacks and kills that flu or that cold or whatever, your immune system knows to shut off. Mine, however, does not, or didn't. Mine did not know how to shut off. And so if it didn't have anything to attack, like a sickness or a scab or anything, it went after your organs. And especially since I had transplanted organs, it was like antibodies. This isn't yours. It's got to go. So it went straight after that.
Wow.
I have been blessed that it hadn't gone after anything else except my kidneys. So
I just wanted people to know what you've just endured through so much already.
Mm-hmm.
She actually was only one of two that qualified for a study on a drug called Solaris, which came over from overseas. Come to find out, she actually ended up on the drug that she was tested
a study
for.
patient for.
I had to quit the study because I ended up going on dialysis back in 2009, which didn't qualify me anymore for the study. Come to find out later, when they actually released the drug to the public, they were like, hey, there's this new drug. And we were like, oh, we're familiar with that. I was in a study for that. And so they put me on that. And now that I've got this liver, I'm no longer on it. I don't need it. I don't have like nearly any of the antibodies that most people have after a transplant. And I did a biopsy just the other day, and it was completely clear. There was nothing wrong with it. And it was just, it's amazing looking back on everything that was orchestrated through God just to get where we are now. Just the little things, like the weather for the flight, the fact that there was one pilot who could actually fly away and he was available.
Right, because you got the call and then you had 4 hours.
Yes.
Is that because a lot of people, they don't know how that works? Like you're on a list and you could get a call at any time.
Yeah.
And it's like a lottery when you actually get the call.
I think we were a little bit in shock too. I think I was more calm than my dad, and I'm just like, Dad, just calm down. And he's like, I can't calm down. You're about to go to surgery.
I can tell how frantic it was when he called me and he didn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
I was screaming like, Mike, pick up the phone, for God's sake.
Pick up the phone.
So what do they say, though, when they call? They just say, hi, is Aubrey there? And then...
My doctors, usually if you're under 18, I'm 17, they just talk to the parents.
Okay.
However, they know that I'm really involved in my health. I like to know what's going on, when it's going on, how it's going on, etc. And so they wouldn't talk to Dad till I was present. They wouldn't talk to me till he was present. So it was kind of like 10 minutes, because I had just gotten out of the shower, and he was screaming. He's like, Aubrey, where are you? Come here. And I was freaking out. I was like, what's going on? And so I run back over to where he was, and it was just crazy. And they, being that it was considered a high-risk transplant, meaning the person probably didn't do the right things when they were alive, or they went through maybe some drug abuse or certain things that just, you shouldn't do. But
sometimes, just to clarify, the habits of living can make them a high risk. Not necessarily that they're, say, an IV drug user or prostitution or anything like that, but there was something in their habit of life that made them high risk. So they have to, by CDC standards or Center for Disease Control, they have to tell us that. So there was a group of them in the room when they called. So it was like this big, huge conference call. What was really neat, it was the time the call came in was just after 6 o'clock, and I had just closed the store.
December 17th?
13th is when we went, and I got my transplant. I got my liver on the 14th and my kidney on the 15th.
There was some trouble with harvesting the organs originally because I guess the donor was not at the same institution as we were, But what was really neat was when they rolled her down for surgery for the liver, I was actually standing there when they landed with the liver. And I was able to snap a picture of the container.
In the container, in the cooler.
Yeah. I said, hey, can I get a picture of that? That's my daughter's. And they're like, sure. So I took one real quick, and they rolled it on in as quick as they could go.
That's one of the things that people don't understand either, is once you get that call, hey, we've got a kidney liver for you, you have how long
4
to
hours.
get 4 hours to get to
From Claremont to
from the
Miami.
time they harvest the organs, you have 4 hours. They had the donor on life support because we actually got there. She wasn't in the same hospital or facility. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but she wasn't there when we got there. So we actually ended up waiting, I think, 24 hours. They had her on life support just to give oxygen and keep the blood flowing and everything.
But no one knew this until you got there.
Right.
As far as you knew, you had
You
to
had
be there
4
within
hours.
4 hours.
Yeah, as far as we knew, we were straight there. And then as soon as she got there, they were like, it's go time. And went straight up to ER, and it was crazy. And then I kind of blacked out after that because... but
And you were
I
asleep for
remember,
3 days, yeah.
I remember little things, but...
Yeah, that was amazing, and we were there, I think, within 2 hours of getting the call with flight time, and I think we were in 58 minutes or
I
so.
think that was posted on. I think I saw that posted on Facebook.
Yeah, the guy that flew us had a Turbo Cirrus airplane, which
Fritz, tell us about that. I understand that you had a list of seven pilots for this. What is the name of this group?
Angel Flight?
Angel Flight.
Okay.
Right, and they assigned him a Medivac call sign, which pretty much gives you a lot of clout when you're in the air. So we were going into Miami airspace, which there was all these jumbo jets all around us, and you could see all this traffic and activity, and they were held up just for us.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Well, can you back up, though? You had a list of 7 people to call.
It's
And-
crazy because...
And the first 6, from what I understand, couldn't
Fly.
fly.
Right.
And you had 4 hours. The
And then
clock
the
was
7th
ticking.
one-
That's correct.
And the 7th one you called was Brad.
Right, and we weren't making the phone calls, though. Angel Flight was,
Okay.
because they have a list of pilots that said yes, we could do it. But
Right.
this is Christmas season, and people were out at parties and had obligations.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, not every pilot is qualified to fly into B-class airspace, and a lot of pilots are nervous about
And
flying
he was
into
the
that.
only one, from what I understand.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, he won't mind me mentioning his name is Brad. And in fact, if you'll go to his website, Brad in Motion, and you can see the blog that he wrote about the trip itself, and you can get a lot of details. If you're a pilot and you're listening and you enjoy those kind of things, he gives a lot of detail about that. Brad in Motion, hism.com. Just go to his blog there, but
He was the last one on the list.
He was.
And if he couldn't do it, then it was not going to happen.
well,
he was even at a party that night for Christmas for his family and everything too, and he left for us, which was amazing to us. That he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be there in 10 minutes."
There was another pilot named Steve who is the assistant to Kathy, who is the coordinator at Angel Flight, and he's flown probably thousands of missions. So he called me personally and said, "Look, if this last call doesn't go through, I'm going to be the guy." So we would have gotten there.
Right.
He would have flown us, but Brad didn't hesitate. He left the party and said, "I'm on my way." He called Showalter Aviation over at Orlando Executive, and he said, "Listen," he told him the situation, so they pulled his aircraft out, fueled it up, and had it sitting on the tarmac when he got there. So literally, the only thing we had to do was climb in and go.
Wow.
It was just amazing. And when I sit back, it just tweaks my mind how just a wave of favor
Yes.
came over us that night.
How God
I
orchestrated
mean,
that.
Just from the time of the phone call,
After
the
you
weather.
got to work.
And I remember Brad, who was the pilot, he says, "We've got a bit of a crosswind going into Miami." He said could get a little rough. He said, just prepare yourself. And if you know much about flying in a small aircraft, when you got a pretty excessive crosswind, you do something called crab his aircraft is almost literally turned sideways, like this, coming in. But we were flying straight, coming in towards the runway, and you could see it. But what was amazing was, just before we sat down, that aircraft straightened right up and sat down. And he said, wow, I can't believe it. I thought we had a really bad crosswind, but that was...
It's all taken care
perfect.
of. All taken care of.
It was no problem.
God's got this.
And he's a really proficient pilot. I'm sure some of it was him and a lot of it was God.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, when you just account for the hundreds of tiny miracles that made the whole big miracle
come together. Like, I'm sure that
my gosh.
She sat on that list and you prayed night after night. Why, God? Why? Why not today? Why didn't we get the call today? When is she going to get this call? And my understanding is that there were people at your job that had put all their work hours
Yes, thanks for
together.
reminding me, Trish. Yes.
And this is why I think God said, I'll wait until December. Sorry, Fritz.
Exactly. And, had it been the first of the year, but let me back up. Basically, the company that I work for, Extra Space Storage, they had a time bank, a corporate time bank, and people could donate their unused, unwanted, well, I wouldn't say unwanted, but unused vacation time.
Right,
that
instead
they
of
had
a use
accrued.
it or lose it policy.
Correct, right.
They had a
And
bank that you could bank the hours in.
They donated over 200 hours
Wow.
for me. I never once had to worry about a paycheck.
Right,
while I was
because
down
you
there.
had to go. How many weeks were you guys down there?
We were in the hospital 4 weeks, and then we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House outside of the hospital for a week and a half. Went back for like 2 or 3 days.
And one of the guys flew down to see you, didn't he?
Well, Brad, the pilot, he flew back down and brought his whole family, his 2 boys and his wife.
But then an Angel flight is also all volunteer, right?
That's
the people
correct.
that fly. And then the other thing is a guy from your company. Didn't he come down?
Well, actually, my district manager, Corey
Yes.
Ward, he won't mind me mentioning him, I'm sure, but he came down and brought his daughter.
And I was nervous because I heard he was coming down, and I thought, are they just showing up like to tell him he's fired? They don't need his help anymore? Is that what's going on here? Because, I wasn't sure why he was coming down. I was very up at arms when I heard he was coming down. I was really nervous that he was coming down to just tell you, look, I'm sorry, but we just can't hold your position or.
Well, there's
something to that
another
effect.
miracle in the making right there, because Corey and I kind of got off to a rough start when he first took over as district manager. God just kind of turned that relationship around completely. He is not only been a great boss, but off the record, I mean, he's been a great friend. He took it personally to make sure that we were okay. Right down, he even tried for hours to get us a home-cooked meal delivered for Christmas.
Wow.
And he said he could only find one lousy Chinese restaurant that would deliver. So we let him off the hook, but he sent us, provision along the way. And it's just been miraculous between the company and how awesome they've been.
Yeah, because they banked all those hours. So it was December. So they said, okay, we have all these hours to give somebody. Who are we going to give them to? And then
That's
your
right.
situation
And
came up.
Corey applied for me on my behalf, and then they approved it. And I even got a call from Salt Lake City that said, listen, we don't want you to hurry back. We want you to take care of your daughter and not have to worry about a paycheck finances and between my work and then the Real Men group at church and you guys and people replenishing my Dunkin' Donuts card because without coffee there's no life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Life after coffee?
it's just been amazing, and I wish we had enough time to talk about every intricate detail. of the whole thing, but all I know is this little girl sitting across from me
Yes.
has one whale of a testimony, and
she does.
and she's
She has a glow.
waited a long time for it. Like we were talking about, Mikey, earlier, the perseverance test.
Yeah.
I guess the pain is always worst before the birth.
Yeah.
And it just know if you're out there and it just feels like you can't take it anymore, you are on the verge. You're just around the corner from your miracle as well.
And I'll say it again, God has big plans for Aubrey.
Amen.
I do.
Yes.
She could be the next Catherine Kuhlman.
Years. Yeah, really. I've been telling you, Aubrey, for the past few years that God has big plans for you.
And now this transplant, do they think that it cured her disease?
There has been no sign of the H factor mutation.
So
they've done
basically,
blood
to speak
tests.
English.
They've done to speak English. Yes, it has.
It has cured it.
Yes.
There's no. The liver is not triggering anything
the liver
to
is
attack.
Perfect. The kidney's
kidneys.
perfect. Everything's perfect, and there's only one explanation, and that's God. Because honestly, the liver doctors were pretty much telling me I could go home within 2-3 weeks, and the kidney doctors, they're just more cautious. But other than that, they couldn't find anything wrong. My blood work has been great.
You've been back for a biopsy to see if everything is being
I just went
rejected
for
or
a
anything.
biopsy last week, and
Yesterday
I got it. I got it on Tuesday, and
you got home yesterday.
Yeah, and it was perfect. They couldn't find anything wrong, and they come in. They're like, you can get your dialysis catheter out, just blood once a week. See us.
You're getting
in a
your
month
port
or
out,
so.
which you've had a port for how long?
I've had a dialysis catheter most of my whole life, and when I got my first kidney transplant, I had it out for the 5 years that I had that transplant. As soon as I went back on dialysis, it was straight back in again. And
right. And you said before we started recording that you were unable to get baptized. You want to get baptized because you've had a port your whole life, and they can't submerge you in the water. So that's like a next step for you.
It is. I'm really excited, too. I'm excited to go swimming. I'm excited to get baptized. I'm excited to just be
normal, maybe?
Considered normal. Yeah. I mean, who's really normal, but...
Nice
define
to have a
normal.
life.
Yeah, really. You don't know what it is yet.
I learned young there's no such thing as normal.
But if I could add to that, there was no research done on atypical HUS when she was first diagnosed at 9 months of age. It has only been recently, probably within the last year, maybe, that they were studying Aubrey's case. And there was probably 4 institutions that I could probably name off that were involved in research on her case, that they came up, that they figured out that the liver actually houses this mutation, or for lack of a better, the switch to turn off and on the immune system was actually housed in the liver. Part of the moral debate of that was whether to transplant a perfectly good working liver.
Not knowing for sure.
Well, not knowing for sure, because Aubrey's liver functioned perfectly. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it except for the fact that it did not have this complement in the blood that she needed. So there was
to turn the switch off.
Yeah, there was a big moral dilemma whether to, transplant another liver for that one. We since found out, though, since they made the decision, there was an older gentleman that got her liver.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody let it slip. I don't know if he was 73 or 78. I heard that somebody was a recipient of her liver. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Wow.
And since he has normal blood, my liver would be perfect
compatible
for him.
and fine. Wow.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have.
And if he got 10 or 15 more years,
So he got a Christmas miracle too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You got a 17-year-old liver.
Yeah, he did. Watch out, ladies.
Yeah, really.
I know. I'm like, I just knocked 17 years off your life.
Of course, when I tried to find out a little more detail about it, everybody kind of steered me off of it.
Yeah.
So that, there's a lot of privacy issues with transplantation. We only know
Or
what we
medical.
know about the donor because of the, high risk factor CDC requirements. But I would like to one day maybe
Reach out.
reach out, write the mother a letter.
That was something that I did. I had on my driver's license organ donor on my license, and I didn't know that in Florida you can actually go and register, and it makes it, I guess, happen more smoothly. And once I found out that she got the call for the transplant in Aubrey's honor, I went to that website and signed up to be an organ donor so that there's no question, for my family, if something were to happen to me, should they donate or not, they'll know my wishes were to actually donate.
Well,
Wow,
that's
that's
great.
fantastic. Aubrey's story, I'm still hearing about people that were touched or affected by her story. Just tells me right there that God is writing a story in all of us, and we
Right.
need to protect it.
Right.
We need to be sensitive to it so that it can happen.
Right.
And
I
good,
always
the
say,
good and the bad.
You got to take your life and protect your testimony with your life.
That's right. Well, thank you for coming on the show and sharing.
No problem.
It's just been
I
She's
enjoyed
pretty
it.
well versed, that's for sure.
yeah. I'm going to buy her tape.
Yeah.
She'll give you an autograph.
She
Oh, yeah.
Stick around.
taught me how to twit. So I didn't know how to twit.
Tweet.
Are you tweeting me?
Man, it's just so good to be back.
Oh man, I missed this.
I really did. You guys out there missed it as much as we did because it's just good to be back.
It is.
It really, really is. And you guys just make your presence known. GodStoriesRadio@gmail.com. You can twit us. And,
Tweet us. Tweet
twit.
us. Tweet.
Tweet.
Twit.
Tweet.
Oh, and can you put that website for the donor? There's a website about Donate Life Florida. It's www.donatelifeflorida.org. That's where I went, donatelifeflorida.org, where you can go and register for becoming
That's
a
an
donor.
awesome idea, Trish, and appreciate you passing along the
Yes.
information. If you'd like to become a donor, I would certainly recommend it. What good are they when I'm gone? So if I
Ashes
can
to
help
ashes and
somebody-
dust to dust, you know?
You got that right. Them bones, them dry bones. But anyway, well, this has been session 26
It went well.
with us, me and my daughter Aubrey, and Mikey and Trish.
And anyone else out there that if they've heard this testimony and didn't listen to session 2, that's where Aubrey's testimony is at the beginning before this finish part came in on session 26.
To be sure and go there and check it out on GodStoriesRadio.com and drop us a line at GodStoriesRadio@gmail.com or tweet us at GodStoriesRadio, Facebook.com /GodStoriesRadio. So this has been session 26. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Trish.
And I'm Aubrey.
God bless.
God bless.